We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Jamboree, to the FPL WildCats YouTube channel and our third live stream looking at the official Fantasy Football World Cup game as well as Fantasy I-Team game. I'm, of course, joined by FPL and E03 account and FPL TV, who are all laughing in the background in my ears for some reason. And today we are all going to try and take everything that's happened. I don't know what the reason is. I'm sure you'll tell me when I've finished. Everything that's happened in the World Cup, including the game between Belgium and Japan, of course. Try and make sense of it all. Tell you how we are all doing in the I-Team and official game. But before we get the show started, if you haven't already, join the FPL WildCats official Fantasy Football World Cup game. Can't say the actual company. The mini league, which is sponsored by S1 Goalkeeping, professional goalkeeping gloves for all ages and levels. Link to everything will be down below in the description. And I'll pass it over to Nim, who I've just watched laugh at me for the whole intro.
I was laughing at you and laughing at Kurt.
Okay. Oh. What was Kurt doing? I was trying to be professional and focus.
Kurt was keep your eye on him throughout the rest of the stream and see if you notice something different, I guess.
I've got enough to keep my eye on.
So, cool. Welcome, guys, to the FPL Wildcat stream. We're going to just do a really quick run through, bit of an update tonight, as Jay said. And we will, I think, start off with our I-Teams, let you know how we're doing there. And then we'll throw out to some questions. If you start getting some questions into the chat, that'll be great, because then we'll get around to being able to read them. So, without further ado, I will pass over to Brett. You can go first with your I-Teams.
Okay, cool. Well, obviously, my I-Team is looking a bit different now than it did, pre-knockout, having that wild card available. I will say that I did have to pick it sort of last minute because I was on holiday at the time. So I kind of fixed my official team and on the official FIFA game, and then obviously kind of replicated that a little bit on I-Team. So there is maybe a few punts in there, and maybe some uncommon picks, if you like. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because now that we're in the knockouts, it's not just about picking players that you think will get points. It's also trying to predict who's going to go through, because you get less transfers on both games, I-Team and the official one. On the official, you're limited to 3 after this round. So if you're stuck with, more than 3 players that aren't in the tournament anymore, you're not going to be able to field enough players, if you know what I mean. So that's where it gets quite tricky. So I think my team is kind of based on that. Like, I tried to kind of find which teams I thought were maybe the bankers, and I stuck with those players. I kind of tried to play it safe, and therefore that's why my team looks maybe a little bit different than a lot of others. So let me just load it up for 1 second. So, for example, the games that were tough to call, I didn't really want to put 2 or 3 players in from those kind of teams. So that's why I avoided Spain altogether, because I wasn't too impressed with Spain throughout the tournament, and therefore having the likes of Diego Costa and Isco were tempting, but I always thought there might be a chance they would go out, and that's kind of played in my favour a little bit. I did fancy Croatia, however, so I've got 2 of their players in. Perisic, because he's a midfielder, I thought Perisic might be a good shout. He didn't deliver in the end, but he did have a lot of chances. And I've also got Subasic, who was awesome yesterday. Really, really good for Croatia. Again, didn't deliver points, but I'm very happy with his performance. Obviously, Grankvist for Sweden on penalties. He seems essential at the moment, doesn't he? So I brought him in for that reason. Mina and Godin, 2 other defenders who were like the highest scoring, really. So it wasn't just a case of looking at who had the most points, but you do want those goal scorers, don't you? Godin was just so solid defensively for Uruguay. So I kept him in. I had him in before anyway. And Mina, 2 goals for Colombia already in open play as well. So I was quite surprised to see he was a defender. I didn't know much about him. He's at Barcelona at the moment. But and I guess to have a Colombia defender, I guess that suggests I'm maybe fancying them against England. So maybe that's a bit controversial, but Yeah, but 2 goals for a defender, the stats don't lie, So again, he was another tempter and not too expensive. I went for Fagner for Brazil. I fancy Brazil to beat Mexico, and he was the cheaper option. With Danilo injured, and he's done me a job today as well, getting me a clean sheet there. Obviously, I've banked heavily on Belgium, and very, very fortunate today for them to go through with Mertens and Hazard. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Lukaku and Mertens haven't delivered for me, but I captained Hazard because he was on penalties and this whole VAR thing. I thought he was the safer bet with penalties, and he delivered an assist for me. And because Hazard and Mertens are midfielders on the I team, both tempting for me because they're both forwards in the team that the formation they play in. So both of those in midfield. And they had Japan, and I've underestimated Japan in this whole tournament, to be fair. I underestimated them in the opening game, and I've clearly underestimated them again, to be fair, and got a bit lucky. Obviously, stuck with Coutinho. I didn't want to get rid of him. He's been the sort of main man for Brazil up until today, where Neymar was sort of the main man, but you still can't really go wrong with Coutinho. And lastly, Shaqiri, he's a bit of a punt because that's the game I don't know which way it's going to go, Sweden, Switzerland. But that's kind of like a bit of a differential, if you like. And but the way this tournament has gone, a bit like Japan with Inui today, it's these players that are just...
And quite a few people have him, I think, because they just kind of thought, oh, he's cheap, leave him on the bench. If he gets through, brilliant. If he doesn't, whatever. And then loads of people have bench boosters as well. So even though they're losing him, they're still getting... I'm not one of them. Still getting loads of points from
absolutely
having him in their team. So.
And on the official game, you can kind of take that gamble, can't you? Because you could bring him in today with little hope, and granted he's paid off today, but if he doesn't, you can sub him back off, and that's the luxury of it.
Yeah.
So that's my full team at the moment. I'm doing okay in the Nymphaea mini league. I'm in third at the moment. So I'm 200.
This is in iTeams, yeah.
That's on iTeams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 219. I've had no real standout moments, to be fair, and it's the same with the official one. Like, it's just been, I haven't had like a 20-point score or anything like that, or like a big captain pick. Yeah. It's just been a consistent run so far, really, picking up clean sheets, utilising those 3 transfers on iTeam as well to get the 14 players in. Obviously, Kane delivered for us the other day, and but yeah, slow and steady, and a bit of an out there team now, but hopefully I've got still a lot of players left in the tournament with this team, so that's putting me in good stead.
Cool. We'll pass on then to Kurt and see how you're getting on in the iTeams.
Well, I don't think your Colombia defender will be there for too long because, like I said, it's coming home.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's told him it's coming home.
I love how you two were like completely against it at the start of the tournament. It's like you flipped 180 already. It's like, we were like,
we've beaten one of the best teams on the planet 6-1.
Yeah,
Panama,
come
excited.
On. Well, yeah, exactly. Hello, me and Brett were just like, no, we think they can do well. I mean, they've got really good players, and you guys were like, no way. They don't stand a
Kane's
chance.
quality of goals just show how good Kane is. His quality of goals, penalties.
We're just so used to getting up to a tournament and thinking, we're going to do really well, and then getting to the end of our tournament. Like the last World Cup, we were, from the opening ceremony, we were in it for 9 days before we were officially knocked out. That's the sort of thing we prepare ourselves for because we know full well we're capable of it. But we seem to be going against it. We've got out of the groups now and we'll lose in the last 16 most probably. But
now they've got our hopes up. This is when we lose.
My team's very impromptu because I forgot to do this team and also the other one of That's Who Shall Not Be Named. So it's very sort of out there. I've got Courtois in goal because I did have Neuer, and I thought I probably should change him now. He's not playing anymore, so I brought Courtois in. Grankvist is in because I had, I don't know, someone else there. I can't remember who, and they've gone out as well. Oh, Kimmich, it might have been someone like that. I don't know. Yeah, Grankvist. He's taking penalties and he's a defender, so why not bring him in? Walker because it's coming home and he's not doing too bad. I mean, admittedly, we haven't had a clean sheet yet, but I don't actually know why I keep him, to be honest. we don't get clean sheets, and he's playing centre back. He doesn't get forward, so and he's given away a penalty. So yeah, that's actually unravelled
Great
rather
logic.
quickly there.
How not to play the game by Kurt.
He concedes penalties for our team. Gives Pickford a chance, all it does. And Arias, because I quite like him as a player. I did what most people do and scouted players on YouTube. He seemed to be all right, but unfortunately, you have to take him out next round because, like I said, it's coming home. Hazard was another late transfer in along with Grankvist and Courtois, who has done all right today. Belgium, I think, had the potential to really stuff Japan, just about scraped through. And hopefully Hazard can produce it in the big game against Brazil. It's none of those teams look as if they're going to comfortably win, but I do feel like it'll be a really close game. Potentially a VAR penalty decision could go Hazard's way. Isco, I mean, he's had a phenomenal tournament and barely scored any points, so he's dead to me. Felipe Coutinho, he's through. He didn't score any points today, but he's an integral part for Brazil, and he's got the quality to fire off a long shot at any point and score. That moment of quality of a great through ball. You never know what he's going to bring, and that's the sort of the appeal of him. Cheryshev was good, and it still is good, apart from the fact he was dropped against Spain. So makes me think, potentially, is he going to be a viable option for the future? Because he had scored 3 goals, so he's arguably their best player, maybe behind Artem Zhuba, for linking play and just overall being a good one-man striker. But if Cheryshev has scored 3 goals, been phenomenal, and still got dropped, you wonder, is he just out of favour in general with the manager? So that's something I'll be reviewing. Falcao's another one that's going to be coming out after this round because it's coming home. So there's no point even talking about that. He might get a goal. Might get a goal, but to be honest, if I could have 11 England players, I would. There's no point having anyone else. Literally, there's no point. There is absolutely no point. Talking about players that are going to go through to the final, Harry Kane is going to score about 10 goals, hopefully.
I got him in both teams.
he's scored goals. I mean, admittedly, Colombia, I think, are probably just better than Tunisia, but the same level as the world beating Panama. So Kane, I think he should still get a few goals. He showed with his goals, right place, right time, grabs the goals, and the 2 goals against Tunisia, the 3 he grabbed, isn't. They're not phenomenal goals. They're not goals that will win goal of the tournament or goal of the season, wherever. But it's something that can't be taught. That's what Kane brings to the team, and probably the biggest flop so far, besides the entirety of the 23 Germany players, because they were atrocious, is Gabriel Jesus. I suppose point-wise, Isco, but he's had a phenomenal tournament, so you can't blame him. But Gabriel Jesus had a phenomenal build-up. Brazil have played 4 games. I don't think he's even scored yet. I think he's registered 1 assist, and that's only because he hit a shot, I think. So he's another one that I could be potentially bringing out because he's not scoring the points I thought he would. And there's a potential, if he's not scored these 4, with Firmino coming on and scoring, maybe Firmino will start against Belgium. I don't know who the manager prefers, but Firmino's come on and scored and played well, and Jesus is yet to put the ball in the back of the net and it to be onside. I think he scored once when it was offside, but yet to register an actual goal. So overall, my team's doing all right, considering I forgot about it for quite a while.
How many points are you on in the I-teams?
I don't know. I was only going off the picture. I think Hazard's got me up to about
Hang on, I'll have a look.
5.
In our league. I'll have a look in the league.
186 I'm on so far. Yeah. But we've quite a few players to go. So we've got Walker's 7 assists and Harry Kane's 10 goals to come in. So that's probably going to lift me up a couple of 100 points.
You and everyone else.
The team's all right. Isco will have to go. Yeah. Because Spain, obviously, are not going to win the league. It's not coming home to them. I know where it is going home, though. And rather than me just saying the same things, I forgot about my team. So I've not really got much else to say. I forgot to change it. And it's not too bad of a state. I don't think I have to make too many transfers. I think Isco, well, either way, it's going to be Isco going. And then it's either going to be Walker or Kane going out of the team, or Arias or Falcao. So I've got 3 new transfers to make for next time, which is a positive. I've only got 3 players to change. And maybe in Grankvist as well, but I do think Sweden should progress. But yeah, it's looking positive so far.
Cool. Well, I'm on 211 at the moment.
Oh, show off.
Hopefully by this point you might be able to see my team on the screen if Jay's doing good.
Well, it says 201 points purely because we did it at the stats early, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah, we did it before the Belgium
She's
game.
not lying, I promise.
I can tweet it out. Transparency, people. So I got a bit like Kurt. I got Courtois in. I had Ospina for the last 2 games, and he was a dude for me, an absolute dude. He got 8 points and 9 points. So, yeah, and then I swapped into Courtois, who got me 1 point this evening. So, cheers for that, Thibaut.
Yeah, great transfer.
Obviously, Grankvist, we've covered that. Miranda, I just thought, wow, Jay's doing all right with a player that's got a woman's name. I'll go there as well. So I did, and then everyone changed to Fagner, and I was like, what's going on? What did I miss? But then watching Fagner today, I kind of realised why people had done that. He's really attacking, and that's kind of the defender I usually go for. So, but I'm pretty happy with Miranda 7. I'll take that. Dalsgaard, obviously now out. Yes, I had Modric in both teams, and later on you'll see that in the McDonald's team it didn't cost me anything effectively, but in the I teams you do get minus
you
points.
Said the name.
What name?
It rhymes with Duck Monald's.
The nursery
rhyme.
No,
but you could have a KFC, you could have plenty of other things.
Are you saying more chains' names? No.
All of them are going to strike us now.
Beep, beep, beep. We'll edit this. Oh, hang on, we're live. Never mind. Okay, so I had Philip Coutinho as well. I've had him in since the beginning, as you guys know. You've taught me into him, so he's been there since. I have Klasan left play in midfield. Lukaku played this evening. Last minute change to captain. Silly move. I had it on Kane since the beginning, but just kind of fancied Belgium this evening. Don't really know why. And then basically, I started out really well in the I teams. I had Ronaldo for his hat-trick right at the beginning.
Very nice.
I think Kurt might have done as well, actually. And basically, my reluctance to keep Ronaldo in my team and keep captaining him from that point has pretty much seen me just slide down the I teams ranking. I've mainly been rotating between my attacking players, the players I think, bringing in players I think I might do best for players who've either done quite badly, which has usually been Ronaldo at the start of the week, and or just no-shows, basically. I got Neymar in for Ronaldo today, which worked out quite well. And as I explained, I got Modric with his minus points, so that's not fun. I'm actually enjoying the 3 transfers with the I teams. I have to admit, I think I'm enjoying both games separately for completely different reasons. But I am liking the fact that once you know a team, you can go and edit the team that you have, which obviously you can't do with the McDonald's team part. You can't in advance really. Except for when we had our wild card there the other week and it was running up until the deadline. So in that respect, I know it's quite difficult for people who can't keep a tab on that or don't really have the time for it. But for me, I've quite enjoyed the flexibility, put it that way, and being able to do what I like to do, which is to get mostly attacking players in, and going with people I gut feeling, basically. So, yeah. And so, yeah, I'm 5th in my little league thing. And I will pass over to Jay at this point to tell us about his I teams.
Yeah. I'm not really enjoying iTeams. I was for the first 2 rounds, doing amazingly well. And then, wait a minute, what did I just see with Kurt there? Is that what I was missing out on? Yeah, I was doing really well. Then we had the knockout stages. I tried to predict the teams that would go through. So I tried to load up on them, and I've had quite a few casualties. The plus with the fantasy iTeam game is, of course, that you can make transfers during the round. I did go heavy on Belgium players before the kickoff for Belgium, and thank the Lord for me that Belgium actually went through. Otherwise, my team would have looked very, very bad going into the quarterfinals. I've got Muslera in goal. Uruguay have looked quite good defensively. Gone with rather attacking defenders as well. Granqvist, Trippier, Meunier as well. I'm hoping that tomorrow we'll see my rank shoot up. Hazard came in for Isco, so I'm glad I made that transfer. Tino and Paulinho neither got any points today. Loftus-Cheek and Kane, of course, because it is coming home. And Griezmann did all right for me. Maybe could have done better with Mbappe, and I did go Lukaku captain, which didn't exactly go as well for me as I was hoping against Belgium. Do really feel sorry for Japan going out in that game. But the fantasy player in me definitely wanted Belgium to win. The low points for me, captaining Ronaldo for so many games. Cuadrado being brought in because I saw James wasn't starting in round 1. But I have made some decent transfers as well. Coutinho was brought in to fix the Cuadrado situation. Diego Costa was also brought in to change for Lewandowski. So those transfers went okay for me. I don't really like the free transfers during the game week though, because if I'm given free reign to change my team, I will make mistakes. I like to be set with my team, and then I won't say bring in Aguero for the third game in the group stages and he doesn't start because I made the transfer too early instead of waiting for the team news. So I think it gives me too much free reign to make mistakes. Currently I'm on 180 points, even though the screenshot will say 168 because of my Belgian players. And I'm sitting 11th, although I was fighting for and had at some times a number 1 spot at the start. So not doing as well as I'd have liked. But yeah, I do. It's different, the game, but I think I do prefer the layout I'm used to, because then once I pick my team, I just leave it and don't worry about it after that. And then I'm less prone to making transfers that just hurt my season.
Cool. Well, I think that's probably a really good time to check it out to any questions, if we have any. From the peeps. Do we have Kurt or Brett on questions?
I feel like I'm...
Come on, bow tie.
I was going to say he's been too busy setting up the bow tie.
There's one from Dave Smith says, it's coming home, yes. I like that comment.
That's the only one that you need to mention, really, surely.
It doesn't matter if you've got any questions, they don't count. Unless you say it's coming home before it or after it.
We do not endorse this.
Frank Walsh.
This is just a Kurt view.
Frank Walsh did say though, I think this is a question. There's a question mark in here. I hope so. If you wildcarded next, would you focus more so on the England side of the bracket at defensive options? Can you see all 4 on the opposite side conceding?
Because Brazil are on the other side, aren't they? And Brazil's defensive looks good.
One side of the draw is Belgium, Brazil, and Uruguay versus France. Now, France, I think, are destined to score, and you'd put your money on Cavani or Suarez scoring, so that's a fair point.
Is Cavani fit? I heard rumours he might not be fit for the rest of the tournament.
He was taken off, and he did have an ice pack on his leg. It
was just a precaution, but if he's not fit, then I would say it's more than likely coming home. Sorry, I am going to stop now because I'm going to start.
No, don't stop. I love this.
Real big haters. But no, it's a tough side. There's big teams there, and obviously Croatia versus Russia. You expect Russia to finally go out, and England versus one of Switzerland or Sweden. We hope, but either one of England or Colombia have got to be favourites for that tie anyway. So it's an interesting debate. I'd just say VAR probably would go against what you'd think. It'd probably mess around with your defence anyway.
For me, Frank, to answer your question, I think, throughout the tournament, there's been like 1-0. There's been so little clean sheets. I know it's great to try and predict where the clean sheets are coming from, and I've done that too. When it was the likes of Spain against Iran, for example, and games like that, Uruguay against Saudi Arabia, they were the kind of clean sheets I was banking on. Now that those kind of weaker teams are out, to predict a clean sheet now is very difficult. So you're probably right. You probably get more of a chance of a clean sheet on the easier side of the bracket, because looking at the other side, Uruguay, France, Brazil, Belgium, they're all very, very good teams. But I would just go back to saying looking for the attacking defenders.
Yeah.
So Sweden is still in it. So Grankvist is surely essential because he could get penalties there. He's in a game which could go either way. Like I mentioned, Mina earlier for Colombia. Obviously, he's got a tough game now against England, so we're going to have to wait to see if he gets through that first anyway. But yeah, it's just trying to find those goal scorers. Mounier has been very attacking for Belgium. He's picked up another assist today. So look at him. Veselko for Croatia. I mentioned him at the start of the tournament. He's picked up quite a few clean sheets for Croatia. He's getting forward a lot. So yeah, just look at those attacking defenders. But if you are trying to find a clean sheet, maybe you're right. Maybe stick to that easier side. And yeah, Croatia did look very organised, and they haven't conceded many goals this tournament. And Uruguay as well they've only conceded 1 goal in open play, Uruguay. Godin and Jimenez have been immense. So if you're looking for clean sheets, maybe look at those two teams. But generally, just try and find those attacking defenders. Brazil have got attacking defenders. Mounier for Belgium. There's plenty. Pavard for France. Look at the goal he scored the other day.
Oh, don't.
There are some very good attacking defenders.
And I took him out.
Oh, did you? That's a nightmare.
I did, yeah.
But yeah, to sum up, Frank, just look for those attacking defenders, because to gamble on the clean sheets, it's so hard to predict.
That is just my advice in general with any fantasy game ever. With my defenders, I always try and look attacking, because that way, if you don't get a clean sheet, you're likely to get attacking. And, I think we can see what happens tomorrow, but I think you could definitely consider Trippier, because he does seem to be all over everything. I've seen some stats about some of the stuff that he was taking, corners and free kicks and stuff like that. And yeah, just way more than you would ever imagine him to be doing, really.
Yeah, that's a very good. I didn't even mention Trippier, so that's a very good point. And he was in my team earlier and got 9 points, I think, in the game week 2 or something. Got an assist there. So if Frank
and the other one you were hearing, Moses. Who am I thinking of?
Victor Moses.
Yeah, I was thinking of Victor Moses, but he's not in it anymore. But it's a really good point. You were championing him from the beginning because of his attacking threat, and he got a lot of points, even though he's not.
He was on penalties. He was on penalties as a defender in our team. That was like an absolute godsend. Same as Grankvist. But if you're gonna use your wild card, obviously the next round, then we'll have to wait to see who gets through Colombia and England, obviously. So you've got Mina for Colombia and Trippier for England. So maybe go for one of those. Whoever goes through.
Ooh.
Another few quick questions. Salah Mohammed said, "When is the FPL game launching?" I don't think we'll know until they launch
generally
it.
mid-July, isn't it? So I'd say about 2 weeks' time. But every year could be different. But it's normally about mid-July.
I don't think it will be until after the World Cup, though.
I have a feeling it might be. Do we know what day it's usually on? Is it usually a start?
Last year it was the week of the 10th of July was last year. But then it was, I think, maybe the 13th or 14th that got
I think
launched.
It'll be around my birthday. And I think it'll be on the 17th of July. Just putting that out there.
There you are. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
And Dave Smith, to quickly go through the rest of the questions, said, did J&O tell the Croatia story?
No, I haven't. Is this the part where I tell it? It's not actually as interesting as the Peru one, though.
You want to? Yeah.
Well, basically, there's a figure, I can't remember his name, in Croatian football that is part of the governing body there. and also part of Dynamo Zagreb. He basically got involved in all the transfers for players who were leaving Dynamo Zagreb, and would take 50% extra for the player in the transfer, but then the player would actually move that money over to him. He, of course, went to court for cheating the system and making money out of these players leaving the Croatian league. And Modric and Lovren went to court, and it turned out that they lied to back this guy up. Now, I don't know why they would do that, but because of that, there's a bit of hatred from Croatian fans towards the equivalent of the FA in Croatia and towards these two players. But to be honest, now that the World Cup started, it all seems pretty irrelevant because they are through to the quarterfinals. Modric has been playing well. So I think my story would have been better told before Croatia played.
Well, your story would have had a lot of sort of thought to it if Croatia would have gone out after Modric missed the penalty.
Yes.
Because if he was hated before then, he would have been best hated, just going straight back to Spain.
But because of that, I avoided all Croatian players, and they actually did pretty decently in the groups. So a bit like I avoided Japanese players as well. So I don't really know what I'm talking about as far as World Cup fantasy football.
So on that bombshell, we'll move on to our
Nando's teams.
Yeah. That team that I'm not allowed to say that I've already said that you can probably rewind, and the official team.
Our Tesco Express teams.
Yeah. I'll go first in this one, shall I? Well, what's left of my official team, let's say, because I had a horrendous day yesterday.
Mold.
Basically, this is where my inexperience with this type of tournament comes into play, I think, because I don't really understand how it all whittles down. And I think, I mean, I do and I don't, but I'm not without some real preparation, I'm not very good at knowing, oh, well, these teams are going to be on this side of the draw and these teams are going to be in this side of the draw. And then when these people go out, they're going to be facing these people. And, that my brain's like, ah. So the wild card for this bit, I think, really showed people who understand that and people who don't understand that. And I only had a small amount of time, so I couldn't have the chance to do the research into what might happen. And so I effectively went for players of teams that I thought would go through. And in some points that was 3 players, and in some points that was 2 players. And so yesterday, no 1-1 draws in the tournament at all, and we had 2 in one day that was taken to extra time and penalties, and both of them involved the players that I had quite a lot of players in teams from. And so when Spain went out, I lost Isco and Costa and Carvajal in one go. And so that was a big loss. And effectively, I got Courtois as well in this team. I'll run through who I've got, and then it'll be a bit easier to explain, obviously. Schmeichel, he got me 9 points, the dude, but obviously now he's gone out.
That's an awesome return, though. That is an awesome return, because that could be more than a keeper in 2 game weeks gets anyway, So that is a very good return.
Well, considering what Courtois just got,
Exactly.
I did bench boost, so I am getting both points. But Miranda in this team too. I mean, they're very similar, to be honest. So he got me 6 points. The difference between I teams and this team is that I've also got a Uruguay defender. I got Godin in for his 2 points, but I also had Dalsgaard, got 2, but again is out now. Carvajal didn't start, did come on, only 1 point, and is out. Grankvist would have to wait and see how he gets on, and Klassen would have to wait and see how he gets on tomorrow. So already I have, out of those defenders and the 3 Spanish players that I mentioned earlier, I have 5 players out already. I now have Quintaro left and Kane left, who are facing off on each other, so I'm a guaranteed 6 people out. And I had Modric, who, even though has gone through, I have to say, based on yesterday's performance, I wasn't really loving. I think he played better in the previous games. So that's kind of made me think, I'm kind of stuck with him because he's gone through, rather than being lucky enough to kind of have the wiggle room.
You're saying you want more players of yours to go out. I don't think you get the idea of this game mode.
What, is that not the point? I'm going for a clean sheet of wipeouts here.
That's why I picked 11 Panama players. Oh.
And then Lukaku, obviously, who made it through. Lukaku is my captain today, but he will be getting swapped to Kane for tomorrow. So I'm hoping there are some other people in the same position as me, really, that wouldn't have necessarily understood how things were working out and how they might face off and what that might mean. So my plan here on in, if it's any help to anybody, is to get Mbappe for Costa because I don't have any France in my team. He seems as good as any, really.
Yeah.
I will have to take hits, most likely. There's no real getting around that. Though I am not going to focus on necessarily getting a starting 11 and treat it a bit like almost like a blank game week in FPL, when we just field our strongest 6 or 8 if we don't have, we haven't had a chance to build up our teams, or we don't want to use our wildcards or take hits, or, all those things. So, yeah, really, I'm just going to focus my efforts probably in the forwards. The midfields aren't exactly strong at the moment in this game. There are some, and obviously I'll try and fill those in where I can. But I had Cheryshev until the last game week, and then got rid of him thinking Russia might go out. And I actually called it. I don't do this very often, but I did say as soon as the game started, in the first 10 minutes, I said, this is going all the way. I just had that feeling it would go all the way, and then I had that feeling it was going to go all the way, and it wasn't going to go my way, basically, and it didn't. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I've just done rubbish. Honestly,
You just look deflated.
I'm just
after all that, you've looked down at your team and thought, what's the point?
I'm stuffed, basically, is effectively what this is. I started so well. I think I got up to 11,000 at one point. I was thinking, this is pretty good for me.
11,000 points. Flipping heck, that is good.
No. Oh, wow. Yeah. I wish I could say more, really. I hope you guys are doing better. So I'll throw it over to one of you guys, who I think have pretty similar teams in both. But Brett.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Nim. Yeah, just to say, in your situation, I mean, there could be people watching that also, banked on, maybe Messi or some Argentinian players or some Spanish players or Portuguese players, and you could be sat there with 5 or 6 players out now. What I would suggest is, I mean, even though you've got 6 players out, it's a squad of 15, so you've still got 9 players there. You've got 3 transfers. You can still build a team of over 11 players there to field. So it's you take hits to give yourself bench or not, because it's nice to have that bench option to swap out, but you could avoid hits and still field an 11, so it's not the end of the world. And making those transfers, think about, you get another chance to predict who's going to go through, and then in that round, the following round you get another 5. So you're still not it's not all over yet just because you've lost the 6 players. You know, you can replace 3 of them now potentially, and then hopefully you can get that prediction right, that the correct team goes through. And, you know, ultimately which team goes through is a lottery. You know, it's like going on a betting site, so it takes that skill element out because no one knows what the result's going to be. So you get another chance to roll the dice, pick a few players that you think could go further in from some teams, and then by the next round you get another 5, and then another 5 for the semis or final. So eventually you can still overhaul your team completely. And
I just think it's because at the moment I'm facing 2 Swedish players that obviously if they go, I know I'm definitely going to be one of Kane or Quintero down. So I am definitely 6 gone. And then if Sweden go, and it's just I won't take hits for the bench unless I really feel like it's going to aid me to have that somebody else to bring on, because I'm not necessarily happy with the team.
Yeah, if there was 2 players that you couldn't decide on, then you could take the hit, and then at least then, and if they played on different days, you can play the one first and bench, bring the other one off the bench then. So I guess that's just weighing up whether it's worth the risk, and if you can't decide between 2 players. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not all over yet, so don't give up if you're losing.
Oh no, I never.
You know, there's 3 transfers to come.
Not in my nature, Brett. Not in my nature to do that.
Okay, so on to my team. Like I said earlier with my I team, I mean, I tried to look at the fixtures and I did try and predict. I tried to look at which fixtures were more predictable than others. And if there was a game that I thought I don't know which way it's going to go, I was reluctant to take players from those teams. So I didn't go for France. I didn't go for Argentina because, again, the way Argentina just got through against Nigeria, I thought, wow, they could go and build confidence and beat France now. And it was a 4-3 game. So I clearly missed out on some points there. But, you know, I didn't know which way it was going to go. So I avoided that fixture. It was the same with Spain-Russia. I had a feeling it could go either way. So I avoided those teams. Uruguay-Portugal, again, it was a bit of a coin toss. So I avoided Ronaldo because I was scared I was going to be stuck with him. So I tried to build my team around just the games that were more predictable in my eyes. So I banked heavily on Croatia. I obviously they only just scraped through on penalties, but I tripled up on Croatia because I was that confident they were going to win. So for my team, for example, I brought in Subasic in goal, Vesalko, who I spoke about earlier, who was very attacking in defence. And I also took a punt on Rebic up front because he's 5.5 million and a very cheap option. And he was very unlucky not to score yesterday. Won the penalty. Yeah, I don't know how he didn't put that chance away. I mean, he had a couple. It's almost like it was in slow motion, but he got fouled and he won the penalty. And luckily, I get some points for winning penalties in this, which I really like, by the way.
Yeah, that's
really nice bit of justice. So he got me 4 points, and at 5.5 up front for Croatia, who were playing quite well, he did seem like a very good bargain. So he was a gut instinct for me. Again, Belgium against Japan. Now I underestimated Japan. But for me, Belgium was another triple up because I was almost certain they were going to go through. You know, I thought Belgium are the one team that are definitely going to win that game. And in the end, I've got very lucky because they've won it in the last kick.
Yeah.
But so I've tripled up on Belgium too. I've got Hazard and Lukaku up front and Mounier at the back. I couldn't decide between Lukaku and Hazard, and the Hazard was on penalties. And granted, he's a forward, which isn't as nice on the official game, but I just fancied him for that.
How many points are you on, out of curiosity, Brett?
Well, it hasn't updated from today. I'm on 201. I'm on 14k. My rank is 14k at the moment. So
what about your points for the game week round? Sorry.
Oh, the game week round currently 33, which I think the game may have updated actually.
Yeah, I think it does your actual game week round, but not the DOR. You know.
So I'm on 33 at the moment because I captained Hazard.
Wow, that's quite good.
And I've benched the likes of Subasic, Vesalko, and Cheryshev now, and I brought in my bench options, which hopefully could do better. So I've got a triple of Croatia, triple of Belgium. So I've got very fortunate with those teams going through now. I did keep Isco because he's the one player that he's played so good. And everyone expected him to deliver. He's very popular. And one of my mistakes that I've always done in the past with FPL is I haven't been patient enough with a player. And then when you get impatient, you take them out and then they deliver. And obviously in the third game week, he did get a goal. And he'd played so well in all the other games. So I thought, I can't take Isco out against Russia. You know, it just seemed too big of a gamble. So I did keep him in, and unfortunately it hasn't worked out for him.
Mr. Disco didn't party.
He didn't, unfortunately. And I kept Cheryshev, like you said, Nim, because he's such a cheap player at 5.5 or 5.5 million, and he's ultimately stayed in the tournament. Granted, he didn't start yesterday, but it's still nice to have him as a bench option that's still in the tournament. And if you can keep players in the tournament at this point, like you said with Modric, granted he didn't deliver you points and he missed a penalty, but that's a great player to have because you've got him in the next round now. So
that's exactly how I felt with Belgium, to be honest. Exactly the same. Like Lukaku didn't do anything for me, and Courtois obviously didn't benefit from anything. So, like, really, it's been terrible. And in normal FPL, you'd be like, oh my God, that was awful.
Yeah,
but
you'd be
at
annoyed.
the same time, you're just like, given how that game went, you're left with a sense of victory because at least two of your players got.
This is why a knockout tournament like this is so different to FPL, because it's not about the blanks at this point now. It's about keeping players in the tournament. If you stay in the tournament, if they blank, it's more important to be in the tournament because you've got Modric now on penalties. Granted he missed it, but he's a quality midfielder. He's on penalties and he plays Russia next, and he's in the tournament. So, you've got to be happy with that ultimately. Even though we got -1 points, it's still great to have him at this point. Another team I really fancied was Brazil against Mexico. So I doubled up on Mexico. Coutinho, obviously very good this tournament, couldn't get rid of him. And then Fagner because Delino was injured, and he kind of came back for this game week. So I was a bit unsure if he would play Fagner or Danilo, but like you said, Fagner started. He's done well and he's attacked and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then lastly, I mean, I've doubled up with Sweden defensively. Grankvist essential on penalties, kept clean sheets. Sweden were very good defensively even before this tournament in the friendlies and stuff. They were a team who were, and ironically, Grankvist was the player that I looked at before this tournament started when we were building our teams, just as a budget option without even realizing he was on penalties. I didn't even know he was. And ultimately, I didn't put him in my team, so that's a bit annoying. Olsen, the Sweden goalkeeper, is also in. But I have taken a punt on Shaqiri because I don't know which way that game's going to go. And they're not the most, like Shaqiri's 8.5, so he's quite expensive, but affordable. And that game could go either way. So I feel like if I don't keep the clean sheet for Sweden, then probably Shaqiri will be the one that gets an assist or a goal. And that's only one transfer that I have to make, or potentially two, if one of those goes out. And I've got 3 at my disposal. So yeah, ultimately, I've been quite fortunate this round. I haven't picked up loads of points yet, but all my players have stayed in, really, except for Isco. So I'm in a quite good shape for the next round with 3 transfers available.
Well, that's enough about how brilliant you're doing.
Well, I haven't had like an amazing game week ever. It's just been a slow and steady kind of...
along. You're ticking along.
And the last kind of punt that I've taken to complete my team is Cuadrado. Because he's a midfield option, who's good really, and him against Ashley Young in the next round, it's just a gut feeling. I've just taken a punt.
I think my feeling with him was that I've watched almost every game that Colombia have played, and I think he's played really well. And I guess my thought was, what's happened with Schmeichel is if he's going out, hopefully he'll go out taking, having given me some points.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where I was at with that. So, is that your team pretty much wrapped up? Should we chuck it over to...
That is my team. Yeah, that's my team.
Kurt, and I think Kurt pretty much, forgot to do his deed. So hopefully he's doing as just bad shape as I am. Really, hopefully.
Well, I had a few decent starts. It means it was Ronaldo who was my captain of this Nando's team. So I had a good start.
Burger King,
KFC. I'm just really hungry now, especially after I decided I wasn't going to eat earlier. So.
What you might not know is that Kurt spilled his dinner down himself.
I decided I didn't want it. Didn't look nice enough. No, I started off well. I had a terrifically awful round 3 because I forgot to do my team then as well. And also I was messed up with the fact that there was a lot of changes. I still got quite a few players playing, but things like Lloris not playing, Lingard wasn't playing because England decided to make an excruciating amount of changes, messed me up a bit. And this round hasn't really gone too well either, considering I forgot to change it. I've lost quite a few players. I've lost 6 now. I'm guaranteed.
Somebody else is doing as badly as me.
No, it's not gone well. I'm guaranteed to lose at least a 7 or an 8 because I've got Lingard in there. I've also got Cuadrado and Arias. So I could be losing up to 8 players, which isn't good. I haven't really had any players score any points. Willian with an assist today, finally doing something in the tournament.
Nice.
I've said Jesus. He's in both my teams still for some reason, and he still hasn't. I think he's had 1 assist to his name.
And I think if you're in the same situation as me and Modric, if you've got that level of people out, you can't really be choosy about who's stayed in the competition.
Yeah, that's the least of the worries, really, isn't it?
Unless you just want to say sod it and just take as many hits as you possibly can and hope for the best.
I'm going to keep Ronaldo in my team just because you never know. He's still dangerous. He's still
That's why
dangerous.
everyone should keep Harry Kane. Even when he's out, he could be claiming some goals. We don't know.
The penalty came off his shoulder.
Kurt, is Willian a midfielder on the official game, or is he a forward?
Yes, midfielder.
Oh, nice, decent. Okay.
So it's not good if he can keep his place now, because I was worried he might lose it after not really doing anything attacking wise.
Sure.
Can be all right, but I'll get points. So Cuadrado is my captain. I was going to put it on Jesus, but it wouldn't have mattered. I'd moved it over to Cuadrado anyway. But yeah, I've got Ronaldo out, Costa out, Sakai out. I've got the Tunisian goalkeeper out, Kimmich is out, and Dai is out. A lot of players
out. Do you still
out.
have your wild card?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. I used that for round 3, and that's my worst scoring round so far.
Yeah, this game is brutal, isn't it? This fantasy football game is brutal.
It's not
evil.
It's not the nicest. It's not the nicest, but I have still.
We still do it to ourselves.
Of players is the most important thing. The players that are left, it's a decent variety spread out, so I shouldn't lose too many of them. If I bring players in, so it's balanced, I shouldn't lose too many. But yeah, I've had Lloris on the bench and I can't bring him on. Vasalco's on the bench and I can't bring him on, so there's an extra 3 points there I can't have. Overall, I know it's not in your nature, but I give up. Don't want to play anymore.
So, Kurt, after round 3, when we had the unlimited transfers, did you kind of miss that opportunity to change your team?
Just forgot about it. And then when the games kicked off, I was in the middle of playing cricket, and I suddenly thought to myself, snap.
There's something I forgot to do today.
I think that has been the issue with this game for a lot of people, is the fact that because it's so customizable and you can change your team every day, if you're not at it all the time, and if you're in work and you're busy, it is very hard to stay on top of. And that's a bit different to what FPL offers, because once you pick the deadline, that's kind of your team is done then, isn't it?
I think I'm so conditioned to Sunday night. It's over. I've got an extra 5 days to do my team. This time round, it's just literally, right, you've got 8 hours until the next game. So pick and choose your team you play. Overall, I much prefer iTeam because I've got more points on there. So I don't care about this one.
I prefer it because I've got more players there.
all I'll say is I always preferred Burger King. So I'll pass back over to you.
Okay.
Silly game.
Right then, so Jay, maybe you can tell us about that official game that we may or may not play.
Well, the official game that makes me very hungry. Basically, I was the same story as iTeam. I was doing really well, and then the third round of fixtures started, the knockout stages started, and I thought I'd predicted everything, and I clearly predicted wrong. So, yeah, I'm not doing as well as I was. 193 points at the moment, about 27,000 rank, 22 points for this round. It's not great.
That's very respectable, Jay, to be fair.
Yeah, but the way I'd started, I was like hoping I'd do better.
32,711.
Yeah,
apparently there's about 1.8 million people, so it's still very respectable.
Yeah, for this round of 16.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, 33, which I'm actually a bit surprised. I'm on 33 points at the moment, which I'm actually quite surprised.
Oh, you were complaining.
Now, this round of 16,
Sorry, Jake.
I'm over 1 million ranked for just this round. Dalsgaard, Isco, and Costa all out. I was sure Spain would go through, so I got that wrong. There were players I picked in fixtures I wasn't sure about. I avoided Argentina, France, because I didn't know which way it would go. Kind of wish I'd gone with my gut with Griezmann, like I did in iTeam. Griezmann looks a good shout, as Mbappe does. As long as everything goes my way tomorrow, I should have 4 players that are out of the tournament. With 3 transfers, that's not too bad. Downside is Varela is in my side and he's not starting for Uruguay anymore. So my team overall is Muslera, Dalsgaard, Oskarsson from Sweden, Miranda, who I've still got. Haven't had any need to take him out, so I've not touched him. He's stayed there.
Fun.
We got Modric is still there, so he's going to stay. Coutinho. Klarsson from Sweden, his attacking stats actually look rather good. Got Kane. Lukaku didn't really turn up, but Kane will turn up for me tomorrow. I have faith. Also got Lingard and Trippier in my side now as well to come in. I have played my bench boost, so I don't need to bring him in off the bench. So it could all turn around for me tomorrow if England are bringing it home, which of course they are. So I could be, if we'd done this stream tomorrow night, I could have been singing a completely different story. But I think for the next round, I like the look of Mbappe or Griezmann coming in for Costa. As far as midfield, I'm not sure who I'd bring in for Isco just yet. And for Dalsgaard, potentially I could double up on Brazil's defence. Brazil have kept clean sheets and have attacking defenders. So I like the look of their side, although of course they are now coming up against Belgium, who do have a lot of attacking threat themselves. But I can't really bring in any more England players because I've got 3 of them already. So, although can we bring in more yet? When
Yeah,
I know,
we can have
we
4
can have
now.
4. I might just go for 4 next round. Just go England all the way, and then if England win, I also win, and I'm just a happy man. And if England go out, it was all fixed. So, yeah, that's pretty much how my team is at the moment. But I was a lot happier after 2 rounds of fixtures.
Oh, same.
Same.
Well, I think that's a good point to maybe check it out some questions and see how everyone else is doing.
Well, I've seen a few people saying it's coming home, which is positive. In terms of questions, I was just looking at the coming home part, so I need to look for those questions.
So we'll talk for a minute, shall we, while you're
I don't think there has been too many questions. It's been general chatter amongst themselves. A lot of talk about Inui, that he's obviously not in the tournament anymore. There was one question I did see. Can't remember who. Oh, there you go. It was Cry Me a Milkshake. Okay.
Oh.
Interesting name. Just a generic question. Who do you think has been the best player at the World Cup so far?
Good question. Ooh. Who wants to go first on this one?
Maybe a bit of their pick. Obviously, a lot of the underdog teams have performed very well so far. So there's a lot of choices we could go for. For me, Godin as a defender for Uruguay. Obviously, we all know of his qualities for Atletico. Very defensive team, very good defensive record. I've just obviously I don't watch La Liga, and I've watched Godin play every game this tournament, and he's just been unbelievably immense. Getting forward and defending, commanding centre back. I'd never watched him like I have this tournament, and Uruguay have been so collectively. They've only conceded 1 goal from open play. That was against Portugal. Well, sorry, not 1 goal from open play, 1 goal at all. They kept 3 clean sheets on the bounce in the group stages. They've just been so good defensively. So I know I'm not picking like a midfielder or attacking option here, but for me, Godin has impressed me the most. I just think he's been awesome.
Cool.
Can I say the whole England team?
Oh, Jay?
Just every single England player? No?
and neither can you. Pick a player. Stop sitting on the fence. On the
I'm
big
not sat on
English
the fence. I've said
Not
Choose
sitting on the
player.
fence, sitting on the World Cup trophy.
I have liked Coutinho. I think he's looked very important for Brazil as far as what he's done. Edison Cavani, I know he may or may not be out, but has looked very essential for that Uruguay side as well. So from the games I've watched, those are the two players that have really stood out to me.
I know we don't have him, but I know there will be a lot of people that think Mbappe.
Yeah.
But
After
personally,
that last
before the last game, and I got to see some of the other French games, I avoided, to be honest. I never really even considered him for the World Cup because I just wasn't really. There were other options that I were more bowled over, but there are a few Russian players that definitely stepped up. I think that
there's no doubt about that. Yeah,
that we wouldn't have considered, and with the country behind them, they could really a bit further in this competition. Somebody in particular, though, well, before today, I probably would have said Lukaku, if I'm honest, and I didn't think he was unimpressive today. I just think that he didn't really get a lot of the delivery that the setup was quite strange, wasn't it? They were very equally matched, I think, in the way it was set up. So Belgium didn't get the kind of room that they usually get. What about you, Kurt?
Well, there's a couple of players that have shone. Obviously, got Russia surprise package potentially. You've got a couple of really good goal scorers still left in the competition. Some that have departed. There's one player though that's won quite a few penalties and got quite a few goals to its name, and I think it's a VAR for me. It gets a bad reputation. But it's overall had a really good time. No, to be honest, I think Artem Zuba has performed magnificently for Russia. I did mention him on the first stream before he didn't start and took him out of my team, and then felt like I won't say the word on stream, when he ended up coming on and scoring a goal, and he scored 2 goals further than that. So annoying, considering Smolov has been useless so far. So Zuba's definitely one for me. Harry Kane, right place, right time. I was under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of waiting in the 2 penalties, trying to put him off from the Panama players. Still fired them in with no sort of doubt. Grabbed his hat-trick as well with a wonderful back heel. No one else could try that and succeed. Obviously, it was an accident. But he'll claim it. Trust me, he'll claim it. And I think you've got to look at maybe some of the bigger players that have done things. So Coutinho is one. Neymar's had a lot of stick, but he's not done too bad. Fellaini, all things considered, Fellaini.
I said him at the beginning.
I was disgusted because in my wildcard team before, I forgot I had Fellaini and Chadley, and I just didn't have the bottle to bring him in.
I don't know. What are you going to do, really?
But yeah, overall, I think I've liked a couple of the strikers. I'm going to give it, though, to Kane, because 5 goals in the first 2 games, not really doing too much. I can't remember if he played, I didn't watch it. I don't really care. It was a pointless game against Belgium. But he's done good so far, and I think he's bound to get a goal in Colombia. So mark Kurt's words. He's gonna be back with vengeance, or even someone to put it out there for England. I think Jesse Lingard's been phenomenal for us in the 2 games he played. Granted, again, the opposition isn't at the higher standard of some of the teams in the World Cup. But
I'm glad you said that, because when I mentioned this the other day, I got absolutely mauled for saying such a thing. That the opposition maybe hasn't been, that great. And I didn't mean it as any insult at all to England. It's just, what I meant was that I would have hoped that they would have won in those games, because the team they have now, for me, looks so good. When we've watched most of that team in the Premier League all season, I've been really impressed by so many of those players. I just like Brazil, like Argentina, like some of the really, really big teams. I expect them to do well, if that makes sense. As a neutral, I expect them to do well, and seeing them do well, so it's not really a shock for me. But I know it's completely different when you've lived what you guys have lived and stuff. So
disappointment. With a side of disappointment and dessert disappointment.
So I completely understand all the hype around it, and why not? You know, it's the World Cup. You got to get into it, haven't you, and enjoy it. And yeah, brilliant. Also, I guess I have a question, and that would be, if you've been able to see any of the games, what's been your favourite that you've watched so far? We've had some belters, haven't we?
Well, I mean, coming close to it has got to be the most recent game just a couple of hours ago. Just to think this epitomises what football is all about, going to the very end, coming so close, and just one counter-attack from a corner, and all of a sudden, from 2-0 up, you're out of the tournament without an able chance to sort of kick the ball again. So that's come close. Obviously, for an England fan, seeing our team push over the smaller teams, like Panama 6-1, is impressive. But maybe even you've got to say something like a massive giant killing in the South Korea-Germany game, or even Russia winning on penalty, something like that potentially, just for the fact it's the story behind it and everything.
I think the 4-3 France-Argentina is obviously going to be a popular one. So the quality of goals in that game, the way the game turned, people are going to have different games that they sat. It's more like a personal level, isn't it? The ones that you sat down and you really got involved with. And
I didn't have any assets in that France-Argentina game, so it was actually like, this is what it must be like not to play FPL. This is
quite a nice feeling.
This is weird.
I think apart from when that Pavard goal went in, and you were like, "Oh, what a goal!"
Yeah. Then I remembered. All the hurt came rolling back.
I think for me personally, on a personal level, Spain-Portugal in the first round of games. Just that Ronaldo hat trick. I'm not a Man United fan, but just to see Ronaldo put that free kick away just gives me chills thinking about it, to be honest. Just two quality attacking teams, and that was like a few days into the World Cup, maybe the second day, and it was just that excitement of like the World Cup's here, and that big game. Something maybe in the Premier League or in these tournaments, big games don't always live up to the hype, and that was just such an amazing game, and you didn't know which way it was going to go. And for Ronaldo to put that free kick away at the end, just I won't forget that hat trick. And I'm not even a United fan or a Ronaldo fan, just amazing. I just thought that was unbelievable.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so did I. He was in my team.
I wish I didn't even, I got to be honest, he was one player I didn't even consider having in my team, Ronaldo, at the start of the tournament. I backed Neymar, and now he's doing a bit better than he did at the start. But then Ronaldo bounced. To see him do that, incredible.
Oh.
You seem to have lost Jay. I don't know if he's lost us.
Are we still live on stream?
I lost Brett.
Hello.
Mid Brett's conversation.
Well, we see him again now.
I think he knows what's happened.
Yeah, lost you guys again. Okay, guys, we are back, and unfortunately, we had a bit of issue with my Skype, as you may have seen. Suddenly, you just saw my Skype in place of people's cameras. Apart from mine, with probably me looking confused for a second, and then figuring out what had happened, and then we went to the holding screen. So we're going to call it there. Just we don't want to push our luck, seeing as Skype's already decided to kick me once. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Of course, feel free to join our Fantasy I-Team League, and also the official game that we will not say the company's name for. Join that. It is sponsored by S1 Goalkeeping, where the prize is for the winner a pair of gloves of your choice. Do go and check FPL at FPL WildCats Twitter account for the way to enter that competition. It does depend on where you actually reside, so go and check that out to see if you can enter. All of that being said, thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Thanks to everyone else that was in the stream as well. Apparently, Mig says that I was streaming Peppa Pig, and that might have ruined the stream quality of the actual stream that we were doing.
It's always you and Peppa Pig.
I don't actually like Peppa Pig at all. Do check everyone's links in the description down below. Subscribe and hit that notification bell for the clips from the stream as well, so you can watch back the important things that we have gone through. Also, go to the FPL WildCats Twitter. Make sure to follow that. Join the Jamboree. And that is everything. So thank you guys so much. And we will catch you guys later.
Like and subscribe.